After programming for a month now, I'm starting to see a pattern which are common throughout the web programming projects that I've done. There are also tips and tricks that I learned that help me program easily as a beginner, and I'm going to share them with you today. So let's go. Div or division are basically boxes where an element is stored. These help me manipulate the elements easily using the box model, which will be the next tip. They are very helpful when programming because some functions do not necessarily work when we do not use div. Divs could be side by side, divs could be on top of each other, a div could be inside of another div. It's hella cool. Basically, just put an element in the div and name it, either by class or ID, so that you can program them easily. Everything in the web are boxes. The elements you see in a web page are in boxes. But in projects, you can't really see the boxes because the line of the box, aka the border, has 0 pixels in thickness by default. The elements in projects that you do follow a box model. The space outside the box is called a margin. The line of the box is called the border, and the space between the element and the border is called padding. It is so much easier to program things when you can physically see the elements as boxes, because you will know what is what and what you are doing. You do so by using this function, which means to produce a white solid border of 2 pixels thick. When I do not know what to do, I can just use this function and I know, oh, the element is not aligned, or maybe the margin is wrong, etc. Do try this if you are lost when programming. Let's look at a simple family tree of around 3 generations. The parents are at the top, the children are beneath, and the parents' grandchildren are at the bottom, which before coming out, the mother and the mother children have to be pregnant, if you know what I mean. Which brings me to programming. When you look at a box inside a box, it looks like the bigger box is pregnant to a smaller box, kind of. Which means that the bigger box is the parent and the smaller box is the children. If you add an even smaller box inside the smaller box, the even smaller box will be the children of the smaller box, and so on. But from what I understand so far, what makes programming special is that the children only listen to its parents, and the grandchildren only listen to its own parents, which is the children. Which means that if you want to manipulate an element, for most functions like display flags, you have to put the function inside the direct parents of the element. This relationship will be important as we go down the lessons later. Let me explain what this function does when, for example, we want to create a navigation bar for our website. Let's say you have 2 boxes or divs, both are the same, in a div. At first, the 2 boxes will look something like this, one on top of the other. But in navigation bars, the elements are not on top of each other but side by side in the bar. So what display flags does is that when you put this function to the div, its children will have a flexible display, and then the children will line up in a row. That's the default. But when you want them in a column, you have to add flex direction column. Otherwise, the default will be the flex direction row. This display flags also comes with 2 other common functions, align items and justify content. It's like a package. When the children is laid out in a row, align items align them in a vertical direction, start, center and end. And justify content align them in a horizontal direction, start, center and end. When the children is laid out in a column, align items align them in a horizontal direction, and justify content align the items in the vertical direction. It is opposite from when the children are laid in a row. To be honest, I don't memorize them. I just try which one, justify or align items, do what I want, by typing both down. And when one do what I want, I will just delete the other. And to center a div, set both justify content and align items to center. It only works when you have display flags together with them and put them all together into the parents element. The justify content also comes with another function that I find useful. Justify content space between, which means adding space between each children, and the children fills up the entire width of the parents. And let me tell you, it helped me a lot when I was doing my first navigation bar a month ago. This is for real the most hardest aspect of a web page in my opinion, which is also what took me almost 2 weeks to figure out on my own. This could also be an entire video about how I do it. But put simply, responsiveness in web development terms basically means the web page being responsive to the width of a device. There are 2 main aspects of a web page that usually needs to be responsive: the navbar and the layout of the element in the page. And how you add responsive is using this function. You don't exactly have to know what each word means, but the most important part is the max width and min width. Max width being what is the biggest width of the screen will be when the following code below will be active, and min width basically what is the smallest width. For example, let's say the max width is 900 pixels and the min width is 500 pixels. This means that the code below will only be activated when the width is between 500 pixels and 900 pixels. The changes could be the display of the navigation pages will be gone, a menu button will be appeared, the flex direction of some divs will be column, etc. And if you want to put a menu button, it could display a sidebar with all the navigation pages when you click on it. I will probably make a full in-depth video on how I create a navigation bar in the future, explaining each step that I do, my thought process and everything. So yeah, these are what I learned so far 1 month deep into my web programming journey. I tried explaining everything as simply as possible already. Anyways, that's my opinion. Bye.